So we're thrilled to be joined here by these three esteemed women. We thought we would just kick off really quickly. Can you just talk a little bit about what was the biggest or your favorite sports moment of 2024?
Yeah. I'll start. I know you told me to hold the microphone close, but I'm so loud, I will be screaming your ears off if I have it close. I think our favorite moment from EA Sports was launching college football this year. It's a game that hasn't been out in 10 years, and so we had it back this year, and it's become the best-selling sports game in U.S. history. And along with that, we did some really, really cool NIL deals, and with the resurgence of NIL, it's been pretty groundbreaking. And I think when we think about fans, we think about me and you guys, and really the fans were the players who opted in to college football. We had 10,000 college football players opt into our game in the first week. And so that kind of proves the fandom, proves the excitement of college football and EA Sports. So that's been my highlight of the year.
Awesome. There was quite a few, but I think one of the fun ones for me was actually seeing the Dodgers and Yankees back in the World Series head to head. I feel like the MLB has been slept on quite a bit over the past few years, and having two really iconic teams being at the forefront of that was just super exciting to see and see the fandom really come to life. We were fortunate enough to be sponsors of both teams, so we really got to play that East Coast, West Coast connection. And after the Dodgers won, we've been working on something special that I can't talk about. That will be coming out in a couple of months. So something limited edition for those fans out in LA, but that was a pretty exciting moment for us.
So I think for me, it would probably be the resurgence of the WNBA. And then, of course, the fact that Delta became the official airline of the WNBA. So shout out to some of my WNBA people who are in the audience. But yeah, just I think being a part of that cultural moment and just watching the rapidly growing momentum that we saw that league have over the past season has been incredible. So I just think the support that we've given them and the work that we're doing with them in the future, I'm really excited about.
And look, you kind of touched on it, but fandom is obviously the biggest thing happening and partially what drives a weekend like the Super Bowl or the NFL in general. You talked a little bit about it, and I think fandom is actually what has catapulted the WNBA to the place where it rightfully probably should have been all along. Leads us to talking about women's sports, women in sports, not just women who work in sports, obviously all important. How do you think about showing up in terms of an investment and authentically showing up in women's sports, WNBA, LPGA, whatever that is?
Yeah, I can take that first. Excuse me. So we had the benefit of signing on as an official partner of U.S. Soccer last year, and that encompasses both the men's and the women's team. And it's been pretty fun to watch sort of the meteoric rise of fandom within women's soccer. Last year, we had obviously a lot of eyes on that team, just given what happened at the Olympics and the women's team winning gold. Coming off of that, the women's team actually played their first match in over 20 years in Louisville, Kentucky, which was our hometown. And we had a really fun activation where we got to bring everybody out to our distillery in Kentucky, really show them what our home place is all about, and kind of invite U.S. soccer into our home, and then also celebrate the women on the field the following day for that match. This year, we're participating in the She Believes Cup, which is the women's tournament that they do every year. And then there's a really fun gold medal rematch happening at SoFi Stadium in April, where we'll be unveiling our new experiential footprint and doing a lot of things to show up for women in sports. And it's just been a really fun piece to be a part of, to kind of see that world, see the difference in the fans that show up, and it gives us a whole new audience that we can talk to, which has been really exciting.
And so I'll say for Delta, same. It's also been really fun to watch the momentum that female soccer players have also been experiencing. So we're the official airline of NWSL and have been for quite some time. And one of the things I also love to share about Delta that a lot of people aren't really familiar with is that we've been supporting female athletes for several years. Before it became popular, before it was the thing to do, we always had a really robust portfolio of female athletes. So we've always had NWSL. We've brought on WNBA this year. We have a robust portfolio of LPGA golfers who are also incredible. And then we have our Olympians and Paralympians, right? So we have like 14 female sports ambassadors. We have 2 leagues, and you'll start to see us really focus on telling the stories of these athletes' journeys, right? We have our IFE system on our planes, and we have 500,000 captive eyeballs every day that travel on us across the globe. So we've decided to use that platform to really begin to tell the stories, their triumphs, their highs, their lows of how these female athletes got to where they are today. So really feeling like that is our way to contribute and authentically lean into telling meaningful stories about these journeys. So really excited to continue to expand our portfolio there, and you're going to see some really exciting and impressive content coming from Delta really soon.
I think just really quick, my favorite women in sports moment this year, we put Kate Scott into the game this year. She's now the first and only female broadcaster in Madden. We'll grow that. But she's really the only female broadcaster in the NBA. And so when we brought her in this year, it's been fun to get to know her and see some females talking football in Madden.
It's funny because obviously the Olympics, NBCU, was a big year for us. And we always tell the story of like, there's this focus on women in sports. And when we talk about it from the Olympics, I'm always like, we're doing it a disservice because our coverage has always been the best athletes, which has typically been 50-50 male-female, right? It's not an effort to do that. It's really what we're showcasing in those stories. And I think now having partners putting it on all these different platforms has enabled even a greater level of fandom in different places. So thank you for that. We're going to take the next beat on that is content creators and creation. Obviously, as consumption has changed, which we'll get into, content creators are even more important to tell this story again. I'll go back to the Olympics of Snoop. We had 27 content creators in Paris, including Alex Cooper and maybe some talent, to your point, that we maybe not normally would have tapped into to bring into a new audience, and it worked tremendously. How do you think about that and utilize that? I mean, your brands are all iconic in different ways. Would love to hear how you think about it, use it. And we were just talking about your Radio Row this whole week. So
yeah. I think creators have become like the most central part of our marketing campaigns to an extent. I have my creator team here today. I think what's been really cool too, I think we had 250 million views from creator videos last year, which is just so massive. And I think what's been very cool for us is to see athletes and creators sort of used to be separate, and now our athletes are creators and our creators are athletes, and it kind of blurs the line. And we have seen such growth in our individual creators, whether they're young athletes coming up or creators. One of our favorite creators is this guy called Yo Boy Pizza, and he had like 1,000 followers when we found him, and now I checked this morning and he has 2.7 million. And I think he would have been kind of nowhere without us fostering that. And so it's a two-way street. They help us, we help them, and it's exciting, it's fun, and we love our creators making our marketing campaign better.
It's also the power of your own platform to be able to do that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I would say for us, authenticity is always at the heart of everything that we do. Part of our brand ethos is really about building an authentic brand that is approachable, that people really feel like they want to come into the Jim Beam family. And you were touching on fandom a little bit a minute ago too, and I have to leave right after this to go meet one of our fabulous content creators. We did a campaign running up to the big game that was really in celebration of all of those fans of losing teams coming into this weekend. So we know that
Tell what your campaign is. It's so good. It's
really
we
fun.
love this campaign.
So essentially, it's built off of the insight that only one team's fans are going to leave this weekend feeling really great about their team and the season that they had. But there's this whole slew of other teams' fans that are not going to feel so great coming into this weekend or coming out of this weekend. And so as a brand that really is about bringing people together and lifting people up, we created a campaign called the 7 Stages of Defeat, where we created a wonderful care package in concert with Keegan-Michael Key, who is a fabulous actor, comedian, but also a Detroit Lions fan. To really help consumers get through those 7 stages of defeat, which is a knockoff of the 7 stages of grief. And within this kit, there are 7 items specially designed to bring you through all 7 stages and leave feeling, I guess, getting to the stage of acceptance and feeling hope for the next season. And so both Keegan being sort of this lighthearted actor, also really understanding as a Detroit fan what it's like to have all that hope built up and then crushed down, and how do you get through that, really being there for people and supporting them and bringing them up. So what was interesting was we hired Keegan long before the Lions went on their meteoric rise this season. The campaign happened to launch the day they lost. So I'd love to tell you we planned that, and it was all just this wonderful, like, epically planned thing, but it was kind of kismet the way it worked out. But you talk about content creators. We did some really fun content with him outside of just the TV commercials and things that were polished that we ran. We had him do some sort of behind the scenes thing. We had him do an unboxing video of the kit, and the engagements of that content were 10 times higher than any of the more polished content that we created to run on digital media or TV, et cetera. Fans just really loved that authenticity of it and the storytelling. And he's just such an engaging person. So, yeah, it's really fun to work with someone in that capacity and have something that's a little less polished, a little less off the beat, but seems to work really well.
And for big companies, I'm going to speak for ourselves, like, it's also changed the way we think about measuring it, like how you benchmark it, how you sell the investment in internally in terms of what does it drive? Because to your point, there's some intangibles in there.
Right.
That you know are driving brand, but how do you start to tell that story internally? Sorry, Quinny, go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's okay. I was just going to say really quickly, just speaking to authenticity and just the fans really wanting to engage in just real, authentic content and not necessarily the stuff that we pay production companies thousands of dollars to make.
We like
for
that
us.
Too.
But so normally the content that we produce with any of our athletes, we have a home and away series and other things we've done. It's highly produced. Authentic a little bit. It's very produced and it's very beautiful, and it lives on social. But this year with our WNBA ambassadors, we have 3, Cameron Brink, Nneka Ogwumike, and Brianna Stewart. We did just a real kind of like TikTok. They did this countdown thing on TikTok. I don't know if you guys remember the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then they'd be on a plane or on a train, whatever. So, yeah, we had them to do that for us, right? And to your point, it went on our socials, went on their socials. It outperformed every single social campaign we've ever had. Like, we were floored when we got the analytics and the results back just by how engaged our customers and the fans were in that content. And it was literally them. Y'all, they used their own cell phones. Like, we sent them a shot list and they used their own cell phones, made the content, and it was wildly successful. So you're right. It just goes to the point that our fans and our customers really want to engage authentically and feel like they're close to their favorite athletes.
Yeah. And it's like, it enables like a level of behind the scenes or access that maybe you hadn't gotten. Mm-hmm. And again, obviously, we have Sunday Night Football, and we have I said this to you all, next February, we'll have, in a 2-week period, the Milan Olympics, the Super Bowl, and the NBA All-Star Game, because we just picked up those rights. Mike Tirico will be very busy with his freaking flyer numbers. But I think it speaks to, and we see this too when we promote our own content, every screen has a different purpose. So what you're putting on your phone is probably different than what you're putting in an on-air Super Bowl ad. But then all the social that comes leading up to it and after it makes all boats rise. And how do we start to think about that in a different way?
Totally. We were on Radio Row yesterday, and my social gal's here too. And every time we get to a new place, she's like, "Okay, are you going to do a cut down of this, and then we'll post it and we'll collab?" It's like no one. That's how we do it now. When you're going to a new spot, you got to make sure there's a cut down, and then you collab, and then we collab. Cut downs all over
and sometimes
social.
the immediacy is more important than it being
it's
perfect.
So key.
Yeah.
The timing is everything.
Yeah.
It's actually a perfect segue to our next question. I don't want to get this one wrong. So obviously consumption is changing every second. One of the stats that we talk about is obviously the power of live and these can't miss moments, obviously sports being a key part of it. 74% of viewers say that watching premium live content at home is sometimes as good as being there. And obviously you all create experiential things along the way. Technology has enabled that. But can you talk a little bit about that and how you think about sort of the big moments and how you make it more palatable all the year?
Yeah, I think for us, you say that stat, 74% of people feel like it's just as close as being at the sporting event. And I think for Madden, we have a really lucky product where we actually feel like these people can be closer to the huddle. That's what it's like to play Madden and college football. And Maureen, you know, we partnered with NBC this year for Madden Cast, and it was this opportunity to kind of layer in Madden with an NFL game. And so what we saw is people can learn more about the NFL from Madden, and people can learn more about Madden from the NFL. And so that partnership, being able to see plays unfold and understand scheme and understand how a play comes to life, we actually saw that concurrent viewership grew throughout the game, which means like people kind of want that insider football. Like once they're in, they want to learn more, and we pulling it all together. We had content creators. We had a content creator literally calling the game for Madden, and I think that's sort of the future of how we see how people watch games. Is everybody's on 3 different screens, and how can we pull it all together?
I'm going to give you a little anecdote. My little nephew plays, and my dad is like the biggest New York Giants fan on earth. And they can literally have a conversation about plays because he knows so much from Madden. My dad's like, where does this kid get this?
Yeah.
And it's literally from that. So it's like growing a new fan base.
Totally. And gaming is the #1 form of entertainment for Gen Z and Gen A. Yeah. And so younger people are wanting to be gaming while watching sports, and we're lucky to have it come together for us.
Amazing. You want to talk about your strategy?
So I think for us, the way that we're creating experiences is in the air, right? I don't know if any of you have ever been on a plane, and it's...
Yep. We have.
And it's playoffs or Super Bowl or whatever may be happening, and you hear like this, you watch the touchdown happening on the screen in front of you, and you hear this, either it's like 50% roars and cheers, and then it's 50% of disappointment, right, at the other half of the plane. So I think for us...
That's where Jim Beam comes in.
Yeah.
That's right. We got you.
Lots of Jim Beam.
We got you.
Lots of Jim Beam. But I think that, just the way that we lean into live TV, to make sure that our customers have the experience of watching their favorite team, no matter where they are. They don't have to worry about getting on board and like, oh my God, they don't have this channel, they don't have that. We have every single channel of live TV. So it may seem like just a really small thing, but it's a detail that we're very intentional about, because we want our customers to be connected to their favorite sports at all times. So my favorite thing ever is watching football or any other sport when everyone else is watching it on a plane. It's a spectacular experience.
I will say our most recent campaign headline is Best Enjoyed Together. And it's because of that. Like when people are together and they're having those shared experiences, like that is the power of connection. For us, we take a very different approach to sports than I think a lot of other companies do. A lot of folks are focused on the athlete. They're focused on what's happening on the field or on the court, or in the stadium for that matter. And for us, it's really about the fan and the fan experience. And so everything we do is about enhancing that fan experience. So when we're thinking about live sports, those are those critical moments of connection when people are coming together, and live sports are so central to those moments where people are going to be toasting with a cocktail or commiserating after a loss. But we really think about how do we enhance that fan experience in the stadium where we have partnerships, but also how do we focus on the on-premise, the bars where people are gathering together and enjoying a cocktail. How are we enhancing the viewing occasion there? How are we enhancing the at-home viewing occasion? Most folks are not just watching the game. They're watching the game, they're on their phone, they're texting, they're on social media. So really surrounding that entire moment and that entire experience is really, really central to what we do.
I told Quiddy when we prepped, we were at CES when the Notre Dame game, unfortunately, Notre Dame, Ohio State, sorry, got moved. And we actually had executives on our team change to a flight for Delta that had screens because they didn't want to be on a plane and not be able to see it.
Yeah. It's a real thing.
Don't ask our finance team. They had to pay for the change fees. But so the last thing I want to touch on is predictions. So as I said, next we're obviously in the midst of Super Bowl. Sports has taken on a new meaning across the industry for fans, etc. As we think about next year, what are some of your predictions around sports marketing and the space that you're excited about, that you're challenged by, or how you think about your overall strategies?
Yeah, I'm actually going to make a prediction for the game this week also, because no one can make a prediction about football like Madden can. So we ran a simulation to see, and when you're in Madden, everything is real. The player ratings are real. It should be real. So we should be accurate. But we have an upset. We chose the Eagles. So we'll see how it goes on Sunday. But we have the Eagles winning in a close game. So hopefully it's a good game. But I think predictions. We've never been wrong. We've been wrong a few times, but don't Google it. Just trust me.
We have the Jimmy Fallon Puppy Bowl. I don't think it's quite as scientific, but we'll go with it. Yeah.
It's basically the same. And I think for moving forward, especially because I oversee athlete marketing, I think for us, and we've talked about it a lot about how athletes can tell stories, I think we want to be closer to athletes moving forward and getting them involved younger, especially now that our ecosystem of football from college to the pros, we can really have these moments with football players from when they're like 18 years old until they're retiring and going into the Hall of Fame. So I think for us, it's leaning into athletes, leaning into the creator aspect of it, and having them tell their story alongside us. So I think that's what I'm looking forward to most for next year.
So Erin and I can do a bet on the game because as the official sponsor of the Kansas City Chiefs, and shout out to say that not only will we have a nice package drop for our current campaign that's happening the Monday after the big game. So if any of you are interested in getting your own care package for your 7 stages of defeat, feel free to go to our website on Monday and get that. And if the Chiefs do win and you live in Kansas City, definitely go to our website because we have something very special planned for that. So, no, I think our prediction for this year, or what we're most looking forward to, is just this general growth of fandom and what that really represents and has become. I think the NFL is a beautiful representation of how fans are coming in through new and different and unique ways than they were in the past. Again, it's not just about the game. It's not just about the athletes. There's really this sort of cultural phenomenon that now surrounds the sport. That's everything from apparel to music. I mean, you name it, there's a million different ways in. And so I think for us, it's really getting a better understanding of that and how we can, again, surround those big cultural moments and create something truly special for the fans. That's what we're leaning into, and that's what we're most excited about.
Yeah, kind of the same for us. I feel like, so this is a fun fact for you guys. We've trademarked the term the airline of champions because we have flown more championship teams than any other airline. So we have a robust portfolio of charter relationships with all the teams and leagues, and we have over 51 partners, leagues, teams, ambassadors, and arena properties. And now we're really leaning into, similarly to you guys at Jim Beam, experiences. Now that we have such a robust and meaningful portfolio and relationship with all these partnerships, how do we bring our fans and our customers together to experience things like Super Bowl, to experience NBA All-Star, to have an experience at their team's NFL playoff game? Now we're really focused on unique, one-of-a-kind, fandom-related experiences that we can give to our customers. So really excited to see that come to life.
Look, and I think also from a content distributor company, our deals now span from as big as the linear network to Peacock to social, as we talked about. So it's the phrase we keep using is it's democratized it to a point where even smaller brands within your own portfolios can play on a stage that maybe they couldn't have afforded or couldn't have done it. The word we keep using is authentically. I think the WNBA is we just signed an NBA contract for 11 years. The WNBA is a key piece of that. And because of Peacock, we have a home to put those games in a place and promote them, whereas it used to say, we have 2 hours on a Saturday that we have to program. So I think the opening of where content lives enables a lot of different interactions across the board for everybody, which is terrific. Is there anything else you ladies, wanted to touch on that we didn't get to?
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
This is great.
I saw Gail King in the lobby this morning. She was inspirational. I did. Are there any questions that anybody wants to touch on while we have a minute? Sure.
Comment and question for you, Erin. Greatest commercial ever, Dave Franco, Kevin Hart.
Yeah. Yeah. Any commercial that Kevin Hart is in is the best commercial. Yeah.
Question on NRL.
Yeah.
Can you go a little bit deeper into that, what the process is?
Totally.
LSU alone, we have the greatest NRL. Can you go to a little bit?
Okay, I went to Tennessee, so I would debate. SEC, we can agree on the SEC houses the best athletes. Yeah, the NIL movement became massive, and it kind of came at us quickly, so we had to move quickly. And we had a lot of internal debates, like, what is the correct amount to pay them? Do we pay everyone? What if they aren't starters? You know, we talked through every scenario. And we also talked through, what if no one wants to do this? What if they don't opt into the game? And like I said, we had 14,000 players opt into the game. So we nailed it. We nailed our strategy. But I think what we're proud of, too, is like some of the players that opt in, we're going to be their only NIL deal for their entire college career, which is really exciting to be the brand that can be representative for all college athletes. You know, some people are making hundreds of $1,000s in NIL deals, and they're expensive and they don't care about our little NIL check, but some of them really do. And I think it was very important to us that college football be authentic. So these players are represented, and it was quite a process, but we're really proud of it. And now we have to kind of live up to it next year too. Have something? No? Thanks for the question. Oh my God, what a good question.
That's a really good
Wow.
question.
Do you want my seat?
Yeah,
You want it? I'll give you the cards.
Great.
I'll send the NBC PR team over.
Does anyone want to start?
I think that's a really good question. And to be quite honest with you, I can't say that we have a strategy around that or that we've actually really even thought about it. But what I will say is I think the authenticity that we've received and the comfortability from our athlete ambassadors is because of the power and strength of the Delta brand. It is a very well-respected brand. It's a trusted brand. It's an innovative brand. And we've never had an issue. That's such a good question. With any of our ambassadors not feeling like they had the space to be themselves or to tell their authentic stories. And I think it's 1,000% a testament just to who Delta is and what we bring to the marketplace and just how much of a beloved brand we are. So yeah, our athletes, I mean, we have Tom Brady, right? And do we have Boston? That was you. The one person. We got one guy. It was a really, really mild woo. But even
No one from Tampa in the house or what?
and I'm a Saints fan. I'm born and raised in New Orleans, so really disappointed. Don't ask me. But even the relationship that we have with Tom Brady, I've spent some time with him on activations. He was as our guest at CES in Las Vegas a few weeks ago, and he is just the kindest, you're going to love this, most humble. He is, actually. I mean, he even got my joke that I made fun of him, and he was on Instagram on his story, and he posted, like, I think I may still have it. Like, and so after he did his thing with us on the stage at CES, I was walking him out, and I said, so I got a question for you. He was like, yeah, what's up? And I said, can you or can you not come back and be a quarterback? Like, what's that arm looking like? And he just died. But just to even feel comfortable enough to have that kind of conversation with him, it's just a testament to how he has collaborated with our brand. And he's been great for us. But again, I think it's because of who Delta is.
Quinny, I would say that you are very lucky that you think all of your athletes are just happy and willing to talk about it. I'm really proud of the EA Sports brand, but I would say it's a really complicated aspect of athlete marketing and mood swings and what they're feeling like talking about and how they are.
Now, I never said we didn't have that.
Okay. So I think it's a big part of how we vet our athletes is like, do they want to tell their story? Are they open to talking about it? We had an athlete, we had Micah Parsons yesterday at Radio Row, and he was great. He's very lighthearted and he loves Madden. And so you have to find that balance because some guys, even if they're the best player in the league, they're not going to be vulnerable enough to tell their story or talk on your behalf. So it's a complicated aspect of the business that you kind of have to figure out as you go.
Yeah, and I would say for us, we partner a lot with former athletes just because of the space that we're in, which is the way to go because honestly, they have a lot more fun than current athletes. But for us, we have a saying, come as friends, leave as family. And so when we work with folks, again, authenticity is key. We want to work with folks who are genuinely interested and enjoy bourbon in their personal lives. If they are not currently a Jim Beam drinker, we convert them very quickly. But we spend a lot of time with folks, off the time clock, off the grid, just having a good time, inviting them into the family. We have a 7th and 8th generation master distiller that still are very much a part of our everyday life of Jim Beam. They get to meet a lot of the partnerships we do. We did a partnership with Kelsey Jam last year because of Travis Kelsey and our relationship with the Chiefs. And him and Freddie still have a personal relationship and talk and things like that. So we really do invite folks into the family and create these organic connections where, quite frankly, people just want to work with us because we're fun and we like to have a good time. And when we finished with Allie Krieger after our Kentucky game, we went out and did karaoke together. Like, we didn't pay her to do that. She genuinely wanted to hang out with us and spend time. So it's a neat aspect of the business that we're in, and being an alcohol brand, we get to build those authentic moments. But that's really how you create the connections that then transfer to the paid content and the paid things that you do, because they are a true ambassador of the brand and not just somebody who's getting a paycheck.
Great. I think we're at time. Yeah. Thank you for the questions. Thank you for doing this.
Thank you, Maureen.
Enjoy the rest of your week.